This is Adam Gorney for Rivals.com. That is national recruiting analyst Nick Harris. And Arch Manning is done with his visits. He went to Georgia, Alabama, and Texas. He really wasn't playing games. He was methodical throughout the entire recruiting process. Doesn't talk a lot about the visits, so we will talk about them for him. Georgia, definitely a school that is very high on the list. Kirby Smart can recruit anybody from anywhere. He's gone for everywhere for quarterbacks, locally, to the Pacific Northwest, wherever he wants to go. Arch Manning loves Athens. What about the visit stood out in Athens? What about Georgia do you think could be the pick here for him?
Yeah, Georgia, they've done a really good job recruiting him while, Texas has gone all in on him as the sole quarterback target, and Georgia maybe hasn't. It really hasn't mattered to the Manning family. Georgia's done a fantastic job behind Tom Monken, Kirby Smart. They've given an all-in approach on their end as well. They've made many trips out to New Orleans to see him in person. And then on this official visit, we're told that, they did everything that they could to put themselves in a really good spot. There's a lot of confidence in Athens coming out of these visits. Talking to recruits that were on the visit with them, they expect, Arch Manning and Georgia to be, a serious contender moving forward, that it's not so much of a done deal to Texas as some may seem. Obviously, a lot of people in Athens, whether it be coaches or whatnot, a lot of confidence growing on that campus. We'll just kind of have to see how things play out. Obviously, they were the first visit. There's been 2 visits since. So how much post-visit high is there really as time goes on? But, we'll probably see that here in the next couple of weeks.
Alabama gets interesting because they have a quarterback commit. The rumor was that they were going to take Holstein or Manning, whichever one wanted to commit first. Holstein jumped on it, but that didn't stop Arch from visiting. And I think the feeling was sort of, if I want to go to Alabama, I'm still going to go to Alabama, and then I will make you, Eli Holstein, make your decision whether you want to stay in this class or go elsewhere and see how that plays out. I think that was sort of how it worked out. Bill O'Brien was an NFL coach and GM, and Nick Saban is Nick Saban. Alabama is still, fighting to get Arch Manning there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If he wants to be in the Alabama class, he's going to be in the Alabama class. There's no doubt about it. And like you said, it gets really interesting with Eli Holstein if that ends up being the case. But that he was able to sit down with Nick Saban last week, and they were able to talk through a lot of things. And whenever I saw him in spring practice, Arch Manning, he had mentioned that he wants to ask the tough questions, the questions that don't get asked on official visits, because he wants to know, where the program's going to be heading. And Alabama did a great job with that part of the official visit that we were told. But I think the only thing that really gets interesting is that they already did take that quarterback commit. So, how much does the Manning family really factor that in at the end of the day? We'll kind of have to wait and see on that.
The last visit is usually the most important, the one that they really want to take the most. There's been sort of data, that guys that take that last visit end up at that school. Certainly doesn't happen all the time, but Texas has been involved with Manning since the beginning. He threw there last summer. Probably wasn't thrilled with the season they had last year, but still loves Sark, still loves AJ Milwee, still loves that staff and the direction of the program and how he fits in there. Where do you think the Longhorns stand, and what do you think this means for Sark if he could get the number 1 player in the country?
Yeah, you mentioned his many visits to campus last season. He was on campus for the Oklahoma State game when they just had an absolute collapse. And coming out of that visit, a lot of people in the Texas fan base were, okay, so Arch Manning is done considering us. But as time has gone on, he hasn't really factored in that 5-7 season. Sark has done a really good job with selling the vision. AJ Milwee, the quarterbacks coach at Texas, has done a great job with developing that relationship. Nelson Stewart, Arch's head coach, has praised them on the relationship they've built from day one when they arrived in Austin. They've made many trips to New Orleans. And then on this official visit, people in Austin are feeling just as confident as people in Athens. So, there's a lot of confidence coming out of the weekend. And, they were able to walk around campus, see some of the nightlife around Austin during the visit, and, just really get a feel for the city, whether it be Arch or Arch's family and, extended family. So we'll kind of see how things play out. What it would mean for Sark in this program, it would be huge. I think their entire 2023 class hinders on the fact that they need Arch Manning to commit, and preferably before the season. There's a lot of targets that they have right now that are just kind of waiting and seeing to see what Arch is going to do. And if Arch goes elsewhere, that spells trouble for the Texas class. That's going to be really bad for them, I think. I think a lot of those targets that were kind of leaning in other places are going to firmly go ahead and go to those places. And, guys that they maybe thought they had in the class that they probably won't be able to bring in. So this 2023 class is huge when it comes to Arch Manning in Texas.
Last thing, and this is the most fun part. Let's make a prediction. I'm picking Texas.
Yeah, coming out of his visit from Georgia, I was leaning Georgia. There was a lot of buzz coming out of Georgia, whether it be from recruits or sources we talked to that felt really good about Georgia's chances. And don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of confidence there. I just talked to one right before we got on today that said, Kirby Smart thinks that things are going well for Arch Manning in Georgia. So we'll see how things go there. But there's too much buzz coming out of his Texas visit. It's almost just as much as it coming out of Athens. And if we look on what has happened up to this point, I'll have to say Texas too.
Absolutely. That is Nick Harris. I am Adam Gorney, and we are on Arch Manning Watch.